This news update is brought to you by
This is the 7 a.m. Barbados Today News Update for Tuesday, September the 9th, 2014. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Good morning. The head of the Association of Private Transport Operators is calling for random police checks at bus terminals across the island. The appeal by Interim Chairman Morris Lee follows last week's shooting of a passenger on a Zeta van by another passenger. Lee tells Barbados Today that while this won't stamp out violence, it will help deal with the problem of passengers smuggling weapons on the buses.
This particular incident with Zeta, it was a shooting incident last week, but people carry knives as well and other objects. Obviously, it will be a concern for us. We do not. There's no system in the bus terminals that where people could actually be searched to see if they have an offensive weapon on them before they board a vehicle, but I would suggest that the authorities do random checks in the bus terminals to see what they come with. I believe that area should be targeted by the police.
And the way is now clear for Barbados to start operating that drug treatment court, which it launched about 7 months ago. Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson says 10 candidates have recently been identified for treatment. Speaking at the start of the 2014-2015 legal year yesterday, he announced that funding was also now ready to put the court into operation shortly. Sir Marston says the candidates identified are those whose behavior has been the result of drug addiction, requiring treatment rather than punishment. He also revealed that the drug treatment facility will function out of the No. 3 Supreme Court. Prepare to fight legislation that encourages same-sex relationships. Director of the Andrews University International Religious Liberty Institute, Dr. Nicholas Miller, warns that Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean will soon have to face up to the contentious issue which has already taken over the United States. Miller was speaking at a seminar on human sexuality, scripture, sex, and society organized by the East Caribbean Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. He told the audience that same-sex marriage must be confronted.
The impact of same-sex marriage will be substantial in matters of religious liberty to those that do not support it and oppose it. The legislative battles as well as courts and legal challenges. And you're all a few years behind us on this lovely road, but that's why you need to prepare for it, because we weren't very prepared for it. And that's why I'm so grateful that this kind of conference is happening.
At the same time, Dr. Natalie Graves, the medical practitioner, says there is no genetic support that people are born homosexual. She says research on the range of genetic characteristics that could be influenced in a person's chromosome combinations failed to turn up evidence supporting homosexual traits.
The only thing I have authority to maybe talk about is the question of, is there a genetic component? And regardless of what you may read in terms of summarized in the mass media, the research does not support a genetic basis for homosexuality. Okay? It does not.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
In sports, Croatian Marin Cilic is the 2014 U.S. Open champion. Cilic, whose victory means his first Grand Slam title, beat Japan's Kei Nishikori in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 at the Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York last night. In regional news now, we are hearing that Caribbean beaches are disappearing. That's the worrying finding of a new report published by the World Bank, which blames the problem on rising sea levels and frequent storms. The report cites St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where 18 to 30 meters of beach have been lost over the past 9 years. The bank further cautions that Caribbean ports are also at risk to rising sea levels. It urges countries to tackle the problem by incorporating land planning into social programs and implement economic recovery programs after a disaster. And finally, on the international scene, Iraq's parliament has approved a new government with Sunni and Kurdish deputy prime ministers as it seeks to tackle Islamic State militants who have seized large parts of the country. Prime Minister Heidi al-Abadi, a moderate Shia, was asked to form a new government with the resignation of Nouri Maliki. The U.S. said the new government was a major milestone for Iraq. The BBC's Jamur picks up the rest of the story.
So the hope is that this new government, which does have Sunnis on board, it's brought the Kurds back in. Both of them, Sunnis and Kurds, had been pulled out of Nouri al-Maliki's outgoing government, accusing him of sectarian policies and basically monopolizing power. They're both back in, but the Kurds are saying that they're there for 3 months and then they'll see if all their grievances haven't been met, then they may pull out, and they want actually paying within a week because they haven't had their share of the budget for 9 months now. And
on that note, we end our 7 a.m. Barbados Today update. You can join us again at noon. But in the meantime, log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izimi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay in supermarkets and gas stations near you. To get more news and sports, I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a wonderful day.
This news update is brought to you by